Okay, maayong buntag na usab sa atong mga ginikanan o estudyante. Adlaw karon nga Lunes, Hulyo 5. Welcome na usab sa atong programa DepEd sa Kahanginan, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Diin ining programa ha. Gitagaan nato og pagpatinaw ang mga subject sa math ug science. Apan sa dili pa nato kani pagasugdan, ato sang kumustahon ang atong mga namuno dihin sa DepEd Pagadian City. Sama sa ato ang Kugihan nga Schools Division Superintendent si Sir Danny B. Cordoba. Good morning kanimo diha, sir. Ang atong Assistant Schools Division Superintendent si Ma'am Colleen Emoricha. Ma'am, good morning. Ug nga atong duha ka chiefs sa CID si Ma'am Maria Diosa G. Peralta sa CID. Ug ang ato ang usab nga chief sa SGOD si Sir Isagani Ibika Bahog. Sir, good morning kaninyong tanan diha kaninyo. Ma'am, good morning. Karong buntaga atong makauban na usab ang atong usa ka banggiitang og positibo sa pagkamaayo nato nga pagkamaayo sa iyang field sa mathematics. Sa walay paglangan, sir. Sir Salim, good morning kanimo diha, sir.
Sir Deno, maayong buntag. Salamat sa imong kaayong gawi, Sir Deno. Good morning. Malipayong buntag na usap sa atong mga buutan nga mga angkor. Angkor lang diha kay isa naman ang
Magand sir, na may importante itong gibuhat, sir.
buutan nga angkor. Si Sir Dino og sa atong mga kaubanan sa division office nga naminaw karon diha sa ilahang tagsa-tagsa kapanimalay sa mga nag-work from home. O diha sa division office mismo sa mga nag-skeleton workforce. Malipayong buntag usab sa tanang naminaw ning atong programa sa kahanginan DepEd Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Dinhi lamang sa 104.7 DXMB FM Malindang Broadcasting Network. Mga pinalangga namo nga mga ginikanan, mga guardians, ilabi na sa atong mga kabataan sa Mathematics Grade 5. Maayong buntag kaninyong tanan.
Okay, may buntag usab dimo kanimo diha, sir. Karon pong buntaga, doon na po tayo makauban in behalf ka Ma'am Araw nga doon nagi mga importanteng gibuhat. Si Ma'am Taransa, no, si Ma'am Tess, medyo si Ma'am Tess na apay usab gibuhat pero moanhin na to karon taud. So, siya po ang mag-introduce sa about sa science, no? Okay. So, karon kay preparado naman ang ato ang mathematics nga subject. Atong tagaan si Sir balik nato si Sir Salim para sa introduction sa iyang magtutudlo sa mathematics. Sir.
Yes, Sir Deno, salamat kay Sir Deno. Good morning again. Adlaw na usab nga Lunes para sa mathematics. Karong buntaga na nausap kita radio teacher nga maghisgot sa Mathematics 5, Quarter 4, Module 5, about reading and measuring temperature using a thermometer. He is a teacher 3 of Manga Elementary School, 13 years already in the Department of Education. He is teaching grades 4, 5, and 6 in the SID School. He is MTAP trainer and a coach. He is also a school paper advisor for 8 years. He is a graduate of Master of Arts in Education at St. Columban College, Pagadian City. Ladies and gentlemen, our radio teacher this morning is Teacher Ernesto P. Cubio.
Okay, technician, take it away.
Good morning, my dear pupils in grade 5. Ug sa mga ginikanan, guardian, lulo ug lula nga walay puas sa pagpaminaw ning atong programa, maayong buntag sa tanan. Welcome sa laing episode sa DepEd Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kahanginan. Kininaw sab inyong amigong maestro si Sir Ernesto Cubio gikan sa Manga Elementary School, Division of Pagadian City, maghatod kaninyo og laing leksyon sa Mathematics 5. So get ready to listen and enjoy while listening, because we will learn mathematics easy and fantastic. Sa dili pa nato formal nga sugdan ang atong leksyon, may I ask you if you are ready with your module. Kung ready na, very good. Amplihi ang inyong module sa page 4 aron makasunod kamo sa atong discussion karon. So excited na batang maminaw? Okay. Our lesson today centers on reading and measuring temperature using a thermometer. Agig pagsugod sa atong lesson karon, may I give you the learning objectives. The first objective is read and measure temperature using a thermometer in degrees Celsius. The second is solve routine and non-routine problems involving a temperature in real-life situation. So ready na ba ta? Kung ready na, let's start! To formally start, may I ask you first a question. Di ba usa sa mga symptoms sa COVID-19 karon mao ang taas nga hilanat o kun high fever? Sa unsang paagi nato mahibaluan nga ang usa ka tawo adunay taas nga hilanat? Tama, ang paghikap sa agtang pinaagi sa likod sa palad. Kana siya ang kinaraan nga pamaagi nga kanunay gigamit sa atong mga ginikanan sa pag-ila kung kita adunay taas nga temperatura sa lawas. Ang ikaduha mao ang paggamit sa usa ka device aron mailagyod ang sakto nga temperature sa lawas sa tawo. A temperature is defined as the hotness or coldness of an object. So kung moingon kita og temperature, kini nagahisgot sa kainiton o gibugnahon sa usa ka butang o sa palibot. It can be expressed in degrees Celsius and Fahrenheit. Pero kasagarang degrees Celsius ang common nga ginagamit. The instrument used in measuring the temperature is what we call the thermometer. Adunay klase sa thermometer: the alcohol or mercury thermometer and the digital thermometer. Kung atong ihulagway ang usa ka alcohol or mercury thermometer, aduna kini nagkadaiyang mga parte or parts. First part is the glass tube, wherein the two common liquids, the mercury or the alcohol, are inside of it, that goes ups and down as the temperature changes. Second part is the glass bulb. Anaa kini sa pinakaubos nga parte o mura kini og small bulb o bombilya nga gamay. And the last one is the scale o ang mga guhit sa kilid nga adunay mga numero nga gikan sa negative 10 paingon taas sa 100 degrees Celsius. Remember that every line of the scale is counted as 2 degrees Celsius. The illustration given on page 4 of your module shows 70 degrees Celsius or written as 70, then adunay gamay nga lingin sa upper left sa letter C nga nagsunod sa 70. Kung asa kutob mo saka ang mercury o alcohol, mao kato siya ang actual reading sa temperature. Kung ang mercury o alcohol musaka hangtod sa 30, ang temperature anaa sa 30 degrees Celsius. Apan kung musaka ang mercury sa 50, so ang temperature of course anaa sa 50 degrees Celsius. Nagpasabot kini nga kung asa motunong ang pinakataas nga bahin sa mercury or alcohol, mao kato ang iyang actual reading sa temperature. So, kahibalo na batang mobasa sa temperature gamit ang mercury or alcohol thermometer? Kung kahibalo na, very good. The scale will tell or show the temperature. The second type of thermometer is the digital thermometer. It is a battery-operated thermometer. It has no mercury or alcohol. The example of this is the thermoscan nga kasagarang ginagamit sa mga security guard aron pagkuha sa temperature sa mga musulod sa mga dagkong tindahan sama sa mall o uban pang establishments. Automatic kining mohatag sa temperature sa usan lamang kaskan sa agtang sa tao. The normal body temperature sa tao anaa lamang sa 37 degrees Celsius. Kung malapas na kini, aduna nay hilanat ang usa ka tawo. For example, if the body temperature reaches 38 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius and above, it means that the person has a fever. The temperature of a person can be measured in different parts of the body, but the common ones are in the mouth, ear, armpit, or even in rectum, using the alcohol or mercury thermometer. Remember also that the temperature of a boiling water is 100 degrees Celsius. Nagpasabot kini nga kung ang tubig moabot na sa temperature nga 100 degrees Celsius, mubukal na kini o pwede na kitang mangape. But if the temperature of water reaches 0 degrees to negative 10 degrees Celsius and below, the water becomes ice. Nagpasabot kini nga kung ang temperatura sa tubig munaog na sa 0 degree to negative degrees Celsius, mamahimo na kining ice. Pwede na kang mag-juice with ice. Remember also that the normal room temperature is only 20 degrees Celsius. Simple lang ang konsepto sa temperatura. The higher the number of the degrees Celsius, the hotter is the temperature. The lower the number of the degrees Celsius, the colder is the temperature. Nakasabot ra ba ang tanan? Kung nakasabot, very good, you're doing well. To test your understanding, I will give you a short activity. Magulagway ako og usa ka thermometer nga adunay reading sa temperature. Inyo kining tag-anon kung unsa ang actual reading sa thermometer. Ready ni ba ang tanan? Kung ready na, let's start! Remember that in every line of the scale is counted as 2 degrees Celsius. Number 1. Unsa ang actual reading kung ang mercury sa thermometer anaa insakto na himutang sa linya before sa 20 degrees Celsius nga line? Tumpak. The actual reading is 18 degrees Celsius. Kay ang every line is counted as 2 degrees Celsius man. So before mag-20, anaa pa siya sa 18 degrees Celsius. Number 2. Actual reading if the mercury of the thermometer is exactly located sa ikaduha nga linya after sa 40 degrees Celsius. Remember, after sa 40 degrees Celsius. Very good. Anaa sa 44 degrees Celsius. Number 3. What is the actual reading if the mercury is exactly located at 60? Tama. Anaa sa 60 degrees Celsius. Number 4. Unsa ang actual reading if the mercury is exactly located at 80? Of course, 80 degrees Celsius. The last one. What is the actual reading if the mercury is located at the third line? Remember, third line after 0 degrees Celsius. Very good. Anaa sa 6 degrees Celsius. So I hope nakuha na nato kung saan pagtanaw sa actual reading sa thermometer. Remember that usually in every lines of the scale is counted as 2 degrees Celsius. Since you know already how to read a thermometer, we will now apply your knowledge in solving routine and non-routine problems involving temperature in real-life situation. Apan sa dili pa nato sugdan sa pag-solve og mga problems, ato usa nga sabton og unsa ning mga routine or non-routine problems. When we talk of routine problems, these are problems that are useful for daily living in the present and in the future. These are real-life problems, kumbaga. For non-routine problems, these are problems that concern with developing pupils' mathematical reasoning power and fostering the understanding that mathematics is a creative endeavor. Some strategies used in this kind of problem are guess and check drawing diagrams, using patterns, and working backward. So maoki ka na ang duha ka type sa problems. To solve a problem, there are steps that need to be followed upon analyzing the problem. The first one is to identify of what is asked in the problem. Second is identify of what are the given facts in the problem. The third is identify of what is the operation to be used, and followed by writing the numbers sentence. The last one is the showing of solution and answer. Maghatag ako og usa ka problema dayon ato kining pagasulbaron pinaagi sa pagsunod sa mga steps nga atong hisgutan. Ready na bang maminaw sa problema? If ready na, very good. The problem goes like this. The weather report in one newspaper predicted the lowest temperature for the day is 24 degrees Celsius and the highest at 32 degrees Celsius. What is the difference in the predicted temperature for the day? To solve this problem, we have to follow the steps. The first step is to identify what is asked in the problem. Based on the problem is asking on the difference in the predicted temperature of the day, of which is 24 degrees Celsius and 32 degrees Celsius. The second step is to identify the given facts of the problem. Based on the problem, the given facts are 24 degrees Celsius as the lowest temperature for the day and 32 degrees Celsius as the highest temperature of the day. The third step is to identify the operation to be used. And based on the problem, the operation to be used is subtraction because of the word difference. The fourth step is to write the number sentence. The number sentence is 32 degrees Celsius minus 24 degrees Celsius equals to n. And finally, for our last step is to show our solution and answer. So for the solution, just simply subtract the given data, 32 minus 24, then it will give you an answer of 8. So therefore, the difference of the temperature of the day is 8 degrees Celsius, of which is our final answer. Aside from the steps that I have mentioned, we can also solve problems using the 4-step plan strategy. The first step is understand, plan, solve, and check and look back. In the first step, of which is understand, it is where you are going to identify the question and the relevant facts. In the plan, it is where you are going to choose for strategy like drawing a diagram or working backward. In the solve step, it is where you will perform the strategy, the drawing of diagram and the working backward. It is also in the step where you are going to answer the problem. Finally, the last step is the check and look back. It is where you are going to verify if your answer is correct. To fully understand the 4-step plan, an example of a problem is being answered as an illustration of this plan on page 7 of your module for reference. Bisan asa sa duha ka mga pamaagi sa pag-solve sa problema ang pwede gamiton. Pwede ang 5-step plan, pwede usab ang 4-step plan. Kung asa ka mo, kampante. Ang importante, nakasabot sa problema nga gibasa. Nasabtan ra ba ang tanan? Kung nasabtan ra, very good. Kung nakasabot na, it is now the time that I will give you a short quiz. Ready na Ready na? Ready na? Kung ready na, let's start. Number 1 problem. In the evening, the temperature was negative 10 degrees Celsius, and it increased 3 degrees Celsius by the morning. What was the temperature in the morning? A. Negative 7. B. Negative 12 degrees Celsius. C. Negative 13 degrees Celsius. D. Negative 23 degrees Celsius. Yes, the answer is letter A. Negative degrees Celsius. Kaya from negative 10, nisaka og 3, so negative 10 plus 3, that is negative 7. Number 2 problem. The school nurse advised Joshua to go home because his body temperature was 39.7 degrees Celsius. How much more was it from the normal body temperature? A. 1.7 degrees Celsius. B. 3.7 degrees Celsius. C. 2.7 degrees Celsius. D. 4.7 degrees Celsius. The answer is letter B. 2.7 degrees Celsius, since the normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So 39.7 minus 37 equal to 0.7 degree Celsius. Number 3 problem. What is the temperature of the boiling water? A. 0 degrees Celsius. B. 25 degrees Celsius. C. 50 degrees Celsius. D. 100 degrees Celsius. Tumpak, 100 degrees Celsius. Letter D. So, base sa atong discussion karon, can you now read and measure temperature using a thermometer? Yes, you can. Can you now solve routine and non-routine problems involving a temperature in a real-life situation? Yes, you can. So, pwede na ba natong ansiran ang mga sunod nga ang mga activities nga naa sa inyong module? Yes, pwede na kayo. Just follow the instructions in answering. I hope nga naamoy nakuha sa atong discussion karong adlaw. Always remember that temperature is the hotness or coldness of an object. It can be expressed by degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. The instrument used in measuring temperature is the thermometer. I hope nga matagaan nato og dakong bili ang pagkat-on sa pagbasa sa temperature gamit ang thermometer. Kay kini usa ka leksyon nga adunay dakong gamit, ilabi na sa panahon karon sa pandemya. Nga diin ang taas nga temperatura sa lawas sa tao may usa sa mga symptoms sa COVID-19. Remember also that the normal body temperature is up to 37 degrees Celsius. So, that's it. I hope you enjoy listening hangtod sa sunod nga higayon sa paglambo sa salabutan pinaagi sa kahanginan kini inyong amigong maestro Ernesto Cubio. Daghang salamat o good morning once again.
Okay, itong nadunggan si Sir Ernesto P. Cobio, o saka math teacher from mga elementary school. Mao ka to ang gipili. Oh, sir, no? Maayog ka kahit itong nga maestro ha, si Sir Ernesto P. Cobio. Ngayon kayo pagka-discuss niya ang thermometer.
Yes, sir. Malindang kayo kay buwan tayo, tugmapong tayo sa ito ang pandemic, sir.
Okay. Sir, thank you, sir. So, karon na mga higala, dinita sa science, Ma'am Tess, kisa ang ato ang teacher broadcaster karon sa science, Ma'am Tess.
So, karong buntag ang atong teacher broadcaster, as what I promised last time, sila mo discuss ang topic about redox. So, continuation is sa quarter 4, module 4. Karon yan ata sa quarter 4, module 5. So, kining teachers, actually science teachers from Tawagan Sur National High School. Kuan ni siya, sir, kining duha, estudyante, yun ako ni sa chemistry sa una.
Okay.
What a coincidence. So, let me start with my student in high school and college. We have Elizabeth Roma Utod. a graduate at St. Columban College in Bachelor of Science in General Science. That will be a science day, no? Pero that's it. So again, we have Elizabeth Roma Otod, a graduate of Bachelor of Science in General Science at St. Columban College. Next to her, a student of mine in Chester, atong sa UIMSO pa ko nagtudlo sa chemistry, karon mo na mo tudlo ka Ma'am Taransa. Si Teacher Jeremy Cabang, a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Biology at Western Mindanao State University, Pagadian City. So as what I've said, they will be discussing the topic on redox. So mga ma'am, let's welcome them, Teacher Jeremy and Teacher Elizabeth.
Okay, technician, take it away.
Magandang buhay sa tanang tigpaminaw nato karon. Good morning, Teacher Jerry.
Maayong buntag, Teacher Beth, and to all of our listeners, especially to our senior high school students.
First of all, let us give thanks to our God for this wonderful day He has given to us. Thank you for giving us wisdom as we're going to discuss a very important topic today. Guide our listeners and may they all learn something new today. Amen.
We are very happy that you are with us today, and we hope that you are now ready to listen and learn. By the way, I am Teacher Jerry,
Ako naman po si Teacher Beth,
and we are your teacher broadcasters for today. We are both from Tawagan Sur National High School. Just stay tuned in our station because we will make sure that our entire duration will be an informative and productive one.
So, unsa pa inyong gihulat? Come on! Please join us in exploring our lesson for today. Our dear listeners, especially the senior high school students, please get your pen, paper, and periodic table of elements, then find your comfortable place because we will discuss the Module 5 of the second semester for Science 11 and 12 entitled Introduction to Electrochemistry Redox Reactions.
So, Teacher Beth, unsa man ang atong gi-expect na makuha sa students after aning atong lesson?
Well, to answer that question, right after this module, the students are expected to A. Define oxidation and reduction reactions. B. Assign oxidation numbers of elements in a redox reaction. C. Identify if the reaction is redox-based on the change in oxidation number. Letter D. Determine the reducing agent and the oxidizing agent. And E. Balance reduction-oxidation reactions using the change in oxidation number method.
Nice! Pagkanindot! So, students, ready na ba mo to achieve those expectations from you? Ayaw mo kabala ka guys because we will be your partners in achieving those things. And together, we are sure we can make it.
Previously, you have learned about buffer solutions. I believe that everything was discussed clearly, and therefore, we are now ready for our new lesson. This morning, we will discuss about redox reaction.
Great! Diri na ta sa main discussion point of this module. Let's dive in. Una sa tanan, atong timan-an nga ang term nga redox is a combination of two terms nga reduction of oxidation. So, ang redox reaction usa ka klase sa reaction diin nag-involve kini og pag-transfer of electrons between chemical species sama sa atoms, ions, or molecules. Actually, ang redox reactions are all around us.
Sakto jud ka, Teacher Jerry. In fact, usa sa mga examples aning redox reaction kay ang mga musunod: burning of fuels, rebonding and firming of hair, corrosion or pagtayo sa metals, ug ang process sa photosynthesis and cellular respiration among plant cells.
That's true, Teacher Beth. Redox reactions are therefore made up of two half processes that occur together. The losing of electrons is called the oxidation, while the gaining of electrons is called the reduction. Kung ang usa ka element makuhaan og electrons, ang tawag ana oxidation. Kung modawat siya og electron gikan sa laing element, ang tawag ana kay reduction. Also, the substance that loses the electron is the reducing agent or the reductant, while the substance that accepts the electron is called the oxidizing agent or the oxidant. Adunay process para ma-identify kung ang usa ka reaction is a redox reaction. And kana, mao i-explain ni Teacher Beth.
Yes, of course, Teacher Jerry. Mauna ang atong pangatunan karon, ang assigning of oxidation number. To determine whether the reaction is a redox reaction, the concept of oxidation numbers was devised to provide a way to track electron before and after reaction. Oxidation number can be assigned to the atoms in the following guidelines. The first rule is, a metal or a non-metal in a free or uncombined state that is occurring is an element is assigned in oxidation number of 0. Examples ani kay zinc, aluminum, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Kining tanan gyud puro 0 ang oxidation number.
Tama! Next is rule number 2. A monoatomic ion has an oxidation number equal to its charge. Example, calcium is positive 2 and bromine is negative 1. However, in the case of hydrogen, duha ang pwede niyang mamahimong oxidation number. Paunsa man, usually, hydrogen in a compound has an oxidation number of positive 1. Example, all hydrogen in water, H2O, hydrofluoric acid, HF, hydrozoic acid, NH3, acetic acid, CH3COOH, and sulfuric acid, H2SO4, are all positive 1. On the other hand, kung ang hydrogen naman is part of the binary metal hydride, a compound formed with hydrogen and some metal, then the oxygen state is negative 1. Example sa compound na sodium hydride. Ang sodium kay metal man na siya, so ang oxidation ni ara ni oxygen is negative 1. Basta, timan-an lang nga kung ang kauban ni hydrogen is metal, negative 1 jud na ang iyang oxidation number. Kindly look at your periodic table, students. Facing the periodic table with reference to the borderline elements, the elements on the left side are the metals and on the right side are the non-metals.
Thank you, Teacher Jerry. Next rule, students, is rule number 4, and it states here, the oxidation number of oxygen in a compound is usually negative 2. However, if the oxygen is with the class of compounds known as peroxides or hydrogen peroxide, then the oxygen has an oxidation number of negative 1. If the oxygen is bonded to fluorine, the deoxidation number is positive 1.
Amazing! I know, Teacher Beth, nga nagsunod jud sa atong mga students kay tanan natong gidiscuss nga rules karon na ang makita sa ilahang modules. Ang sunod nga rule na atong timan-an is kani. The sum of all oxidation numbers in a neutral compound is 0. Example ani kay ang water, H2O, and sulfuric acid, H2SO4. For water, as it is presented in step 3, do have a total oxidation number of 0, which simply denotes nga it is a neutral atom. Now, the simplest way to compute for the total oxidation number is to consider that water contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and that gives a total oxidation number of water equals 2 times oxidation number of hydrogen plus 1 times oxidation number of oxygen. So that would be 2 times positive 1 plus 1 times negative 2 equals 2 times positive 1 plus negative 2. So, positive 2 plus negative 2, the answer is 0.
In case po sa sulfuric acid or H2SO4, where each hydrogen is positive 1, each oxygen is negative 2. The oxidation number for S is unknown. And to compute the oxidation number of sulfur, we let X is equal to oxidation number of sulfur. And so, the total oxidation number of sulfuric acid is equal to 2X or 2 times the oxidation number of hydrogen plus 1 times oxidation number of sulfur plus 4 times oxidation number of oxygen, where X is equal to oxidation number of sulfur and the total oxidation number of sulfuric acid is 0. So, 0 is equal to 2 times positive 1 plus X plus 4 times negative 2. Now, 0 is equal to 2 plus X minus 8. So, the answer is negative 6. The solution clearly shows that the oxidation number of sulfur in sulfuric acid is negative 6.
Dali ra siya masolve, Teacher Beth, no? Basta kay kabaluta sa mga rules.
Yes, Teacher Jerry. And I know na bright o kugihan ato mga students nga namino karon ug kaya kaayo na nila.
Okay, so padayon ta. Rule number 5B. The sum of all oxidation number in a polyatomic ion is equal to the charge of the ion. In the case of phosphate, PO4 negative 3, which is a polyatomic, kay duha ka element man ang gauban, phosphorus and oxygen, with a net charge of negative 3. Karon, atong sulayan o calculate ang oxidation number sa phosphorus. Total oxidation number of phosphate equals 1 times oxidation number of phosphorus plus 4 times oxidation number of oxygen, where X is equals to oxidation number of phosphorus and the total oxidation number of phosphate is negative 3. So, negative 3 equals X plus 4 times negative 2. Then, negative 3 equals X plus positive 4 times negative 2 is equals to negative 8. And the answer is positive 5.
That's great! Next rule is number 6. That the oxidation number of alkaline metal 1A family in the compound is positive 1. The oxidation number of an alkaline earth metal 2A family in a compound is positive 2. Tip mga students, para dali ra ninyo ma-identify kung asa na family na belong ang usa ka element, kinahanglan jud ninyo gamiton ang periodic table. Kung walay hard copy sa periodic table, pwede usab mag-download sa inyong cellphone o periodic table na app sa Google Play Store.
Yes, tinuod yun na, Teacher Beth. Importante jud nga naa sila'y periodic table. So, ang last rule is rule number 7 na nag-ingon. The oxidation number of chlorine is always negative 1. Chlorine, bromine, and iodine usually have an oxidation number of negative 1 unless they're in combination with an oxygen or chlorine.
Way to go! Dali na ta sa identifying whether the reaction is a redox reaction by assigning an oxidation number. Kaya ganina, gihisgutan nato ang mga rules sa pag-assign sa oxidation numbers, right? So karon, atuan na siya gamiton para maibawan nato kung redox reaction ba ang usa ka given nga sample.
That's right, Teacher Beth. Mga students, let's try to consider the reaction between magnesium metal and oxygen gas. The unbalanced equation for this reaction is magnesium reacts to oxygen yields magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is an ionic compound and is made up of magnesium 2 positive and oxygen negative 2 ions. In order to identify whether the reaction is a redox reaction, mag-assign ta og oxidation numbers. The oxidation number of magnesium is 0 based on rule number 1. The oxidation number of oxygen in O2 is also 0. That is based on rule number 1 again. The oxidation number of oxygen in magnesium oxide is -2. That is based on rule number 4. The oxidation number of magnesium in magnesium oxide is +2 based on rule number 5. Therefore, in the case of magnesium, from 0, nahimo siyang +2. It means that it loses electrons and therefore it is oxidized. And in the case of oxygen, from 0, nahimo siyang -2, which means it gains electrons and therefore it is reduced. Here, we can see that there is a transfer of electrons involved in the reaction between magnesium and oxygen. Electron lost by magnesium were gained by oxygen. Thus, this reaction is a redox reaction.
O diba, nagamit kayo nato ang mga rules sa pag-assign of oxidation numbers. Also, ato sa pagatimanan pag-ayo mga students nga ang reactant that carries the atom or element that was oxidized is called reducing agent, while the reactant that carries the atom or element that is reduced is called the deoxidizing agent. In the example given, magnesium is the reducing agent, while oxygen is the oxidizing agent.
Tama, Teacher Beth. Aduna pa yung mga daghan nga examples nga gihatag sa inyong modules. And kana silang tanan, same ra ang process sa sama sa gi-explain kaganina ni Teacher Beth. I-follow lang ang rules and voila! Maka-assign na ka of oxidation numbers and ma-identify na sad nimo if redox reaction ba kini or dili. As well as makita na sad nimo kung asa ang reducing agent o ang oxidizing agent. Am I right, Teacher Beth?
Correct ka dyan, Teacher Jerry.
Teacher Beth, aduna by case nga ang reaction is dili jud maklasify as redox reaction?
Good question, Teacher Jerry. Actually, yes. There are reactions that are not redox. An example ani is the neutralization reaction of hydrochloric acid or HCl and sodium hydroxide or NaOH. Sa ani nga reaction manggod, mogawas nga walay change in the oxidation number from the reactant side to the product side. Nga kana siya sa tanang elements nga involved.
Thank you, Teacher Beth. At least karon, kabalo na ta nga dili tanan reaction is redox reaction, di ba mga students? Okay, now we will proceed to the next part. Open your module on page 8 entitled Balancing Redox Reactions, Change in Oxidation Number Method. I think they are on the same page with me, right, Teacher Beth?
Yes, definitely, Teacher Jerry.
Dear students, sa balancing a chemical equation, kinahanglan atong timan-an ang law of conservation of matter. In this law, atoms are neither created nor destroyed in any chemical reaction. If a substance loses a certain number of electrons during a reaction, another substance must gain that same number of electrons. Here are some steps when balancing redox reaction. Step 1. Assign oxidation numbers to each of the atom in the equation. Write the oxidation number above the atom. In this case, gamito nato ang example nga elements nga magnesium o oxygen. Sige, pagkuha og papel o ballpen, dayon isulat ang symbol sa magnesium o oxygen. Kaning magnesium o oxygen kay mga neutral atoms, so buot pasabot ang ilang total oxidation number kay 0. Dayon, isulat ang oxidation number nila matag usa sa ibabaw. Step 2, identify the atoms that are oxidized and those that are reduced. Mga students, dili jud nato kalimtan nga ang metals maulang ang pwede nga mohatag og electrons. Ug ang mga non-metals lang pod ang pwede nga modawat. Therefore, ang metals kay maoy ma-oxidize ug ang non-metals mao ang ma-reduce. Okay? So, Teacher Beth, sa ilahang duha, unsa man na element ang metal?
Ang metal kay ang magnesium ug ang oxygen kay mao ang non-metal, Teacher Jerry.
Yes, correct. Ka very good na lang yun ani ni Teacher Beth. I know same sadog answer atong mga students. Dayon, unsa may next step, Teacher Beth?
Ang mosunod kay step 3. If the losing and gaining of electrons does not follow the law of conservation of matter, use coefficients to make the total increase in oxidation number equal to the total decrease in oxidation number. Identify and use the least common multiple for simplification.
Sa atong example kaganina nga magnesium and oxygen yields magnesium oxide, magnesium lost 2 electrons per magnesium atom. Each atom of oxygen gains 2 electrons, and since duha man kabuk ang oxygen, so naa na siya 2 molecules of oxygen. Each of these molecules will gain 2 electrons pod, so naa na siya total nga 4 electrons. 2 magnesium atoms have to be oxidized to reduce a molecule of oxygen gas. The total number of electrons transferred is 4. The balance equation for this reaction is therefore 2 magnesium reacts to oxygen gas yields 2 magnesium oxide. And then, step 4. To check whether the equation is balanced, count the number of atoms on both sides of the equation. Once the reactant side and product side is already equal, the equation is now balanced. Congratulations!
That's great! Remember students na you will only use coefficients once dili mo follow ang law of conservation of matter in this reaction. This time, let's proceed to page 9 entitled What's More. And let's try to answer the given as way to practice what we have learned.
Students, ang una natong buhaton is to assign oxidation number to each of the elements in the reactant side of the equation when nitric acid reacts to sulfur dioxide. HNO3 nitric acid reacts to sulfur dioxide SO2 yields sulfuric acid H2SO4 and dinitrogen oxide. So diri sa product side, ang oxidation number sa hydrogen is positive 1. Sa sulfur, positive 6. Oxygen, negative 2. Nitrogen, positive 4. And oxygen, negative 2. So dito ta mag-assign og oxidation number sa reactant side. So the oxidation number of hydrogen is positive 1. And the oxidation number of nitrogen is positive 5. Oxidation number of oxygen is negative 2. And for the case of sulfur dioxide, the oxidation number of sulfur is positive 4. And the oxidation number of oxygen is negative 2.
Alright, for question number 2. Is the reaction a redox reaction? Why or why not? The answer is yes, because in the equation, there are elements na nag-lose and gain of electrons, specifically ang nitrogen and sulfur.
Okay, number 3. The elements that change in oxidation number are the sulfur and nitrogen. So write the change in their oxidation number. The answer is that nitrogen from positive 5 nahimo siyang positive 4. Nakita nato siya sa atong answer sa number 1. Dayon ang sulfur kay from positive 4 to positive 6. Ang nitrogen ning ubos ang oxidation. So unsa may pasabot ana? Ang nitrogen na-reduce kay ning gamay, while ang sulfur kay ning taas, so siya ang na-oxidize.
Padayon ta sa number 5. Write down the elements that were neither reduced nor oxidized. Buot pasabot ani, pangitaon nato ang mga elements nga wala nang tandog or nagpabilin nga oxidation number. In this case, the elements whose oxidation numbers were not changed are the oxygen and hydrogen. So what's next, Teacher Jerry?
We're almost there, Teacher Beth. This time, turn to page 10, activity 3, and answer the questions. With our discussion, we are confident that you will be able to answer them correctly. You may also scan your modules from page 4 to page 10 should you forget the rules and steps. You may also seek for assistance from your teachers. I am sure that they will be more than willing to help you in completing the activity.
Of course, Teacher Jerry. All teachers will always be glad to be of help of our students. Now, we'll proceed to activity 4. This time, we'll check your understanding. Please join us in answering these items. Just write true if the statement is correct and false if the statement is incorrect. Okay? Are you ready? Let's start! Letter A. If a substance is oxidized, it is gaining electron.
The answer is false. Because if a substance is oxidized, meaning it loses electrons, not gain.
Letter B. If an atom is oxidized, its oxidation number increases.
The answer is true.
Letter C. Oxidation can occur without oxygen.
With that, the answer is still true.
Letter D. Oxidation can occur without reduction.
The answer here is false. Because reduction and oxidation are two half processes that should coexist. Kung naay mag-lose og electrons, dapat naay mudawat.
For letter E, melting of iron is a redox reaction.
The answer is false again, because melting is not a chemical reaction. It is just a phase change. Now, I am confident that you do have understood our lesson. Let's proceed now to the assessment. Students, we would really love to share to you the answers of all the questions. But since we only have a very limited time, we will only choose some and please listen carefully to see if pariha ba taog answers.
Let's start! Number 1. Oxidation is
Letter A, losing of electrons.
Number 2. Reduction is
Letter B, gaining electrons.
Number 3. What is the oxidation number of bromine in hypobromous acid?
The answer is positive 1.
Number 4. Which substance is the reducing agent?
The answer is letter A, potassium.
Number 5. Which substance is oxidizing agent?
And for that, the answer is potassium nitrate, letter B, KNO3. And now, for the final activity, activity 5. Let's add more. Give at least 5 examples of a chemical reaction in our surrounding that involves redox reactions. State its significance. So, diri, ma-answer na ninyo ang gihatag na examples ni Teacher Beth. Sama sa burning of fuels, rebonding and firming of hair, corrosion or pagtaya sa metals, o ang process of photosynthesis and cellular respiration sa mga plant cells. Dayon isulat lang ninyo ang significance ni ana nila sa ato ang daily life.
Okay, we have come to the end of our session, and we hope that you have learned something from us today. Thank you so much for listening and staying with us. This has been Teacher Elizabeth Utod
And Teacher Jeremy Cabang from Tawagan Sur National High School
at your service.
Keep learning, keep thriving, dahil sa mundong ito, lamang ang may alam. Bye!
Okay, ato nadunggan gyud ang duhapod ka mga scientist sa Zamboanga del Sur National High School Senior High.
Sa
Mga-
Tawagan
Oh,
Sur, sir.
sorry. Tawagan kay ang nasuwat diri no? Atong koreksyonan sa Tawagan Sur National High School si Ma'am Elizabeth Otod ug si Ma'am Jeremy L. Cabang of their topics nga redox or reduction and oxidation. Okay, dili ta maglangay kay medyo nahurot ng atong oras. Sir Salim, sa imuhang parting statement nimo, sir.
Yes, Sir Dino, salamat kayo sa tanang naminaw, karong buntaga. Salamat sa paghatag ug higayon sa inyong panahon sa pagpaminaw ni Teacher Ernesto P. Cubio. I hope you learned a lot this morning from our teacher on the topic he discussed about reading and measuring temperature using a thermometer. Akong ipahibalo sa tanang naminaw ning atong programa sa mathematics matag Lunes nga mauni ang katapusang Lunes ning school year 2020-2021 nga kining inyong ubos nga higala sa kahanginan Mr. Salim T. Uyag ug ang mga teachers on the air in mathematics madungog dinhi ning maong station 104.7 DXMB FM Malindang Broadcasting Network. Kita-kits na punta sa sunod nga school year 2021-2022. Daghang kayong salamat kaninyong tanan. I always say, observe IATF protocols wherever you are. May God bless us.
Okay, salamat sa Sir Salim. Ma'am Tess?
So, kang Teacher Beth o kang Teacher Jeremy, congratulations, you did it well, and thank you very much. And then, sa next Monday, ang atong topic will be on Quarter 4, Module 6, and it is about reaction occurring in the different parts of cell with Teacher Ria and Teacher Child. So again, senior high school, we hope nga maminaw pag yun mo gihapon, follow up sa atong lesson, especially sa chemistry. So, mayong buntag, daghang salamat sa naminaw, especially sa atong mga ginikanan nga grabe gyud ang pag-antos no sa ilang mga anak. Salamat kayo sa inyong pag-support. So again, keep safe, keep praying always. Thank you.
Okay, atong nadungog ang atong mga duha ka supervisors ug ato usab nadungog ang mga radio teachers nga nagbatbat sa mga lesson sa module sa math ug science nga nakatabang jud og dako sa pagtubag sa mga kalibog nga naa sa inyong mga hunahuna. Okay, sa sunod na usab nga Lunes, ayaw pakyasa pag-tune in sa inyong mga radio o pwede po sa atong Facebook, YouTube, diri sa 104.7 FM Malindang Broadcasting. Ako din pasalamatan po diri sa akong kilid si Borbs or you, no? Sir, thank you kayo sa pag-assist nato. O sa tibok pwersa sa DepEd, Division Pagadian City, sa ngalan sa ato ang SDS, Danny B. Corduba, daghang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw o sa ako pang partner nga dunay giasikaso, knowledge is power. Daghang salamat sa iyong pagpaminaw.